Josh, Cami, and Mix. That was amazing. Thank you for your breathtaking performance. It is my great honor to welcome our guest speaker this evening. We live in a world filled with fake news. It is so important to tell the truth and get the message out. Mandy Wiener is known as one of those honest journalists. Without any favoritism, she tells the truth as she sees it. She's covered many cases, including the Jackie Celebi case. But Mandy, there's one thing you don't know. My grandfather, Judge Jaffe, was the judge, and he told me this story. After a long day in court during the Celebi trial, he would come home from work and be confronted at the door by his wife. She would inquire about his health and his overall mood from the day, in a manner that only a Jewish wife can. And he would respond, "No, I'm okay, thank you." "Why do you ask?" And her response was, "Well, Mandy Wiener said you looked sick and grumpy today in court." And if Mandy Wiener said it, it must be true. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mandy Wiener.
That is such a great, great story. You told me something that I did not know. So all protocol observed, as they say in government, Mr. Rabbi Kesev. But tonight I want to speak to you, the class of 2020. Well, this wasn't what you were expecting, was it? Welcome to the Valedictory of the year 2020, where everything is just not what it should be. It's a wild sugar time. If you had been told a year ago that you'd be attending your valedictory in your bedroom, possibly in your boxer shorts and flip-flops, with a bowl of popcorn and FIFA or Call of Duty on the other screen, away from your friends, you would have called it fake news. But this is the reality of our mad new world. It's important, firstly, to acknowledge your loss. You may feel bereft at your situation. Like so many of us, you've probably been through the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief. Denial, this can't be happening to me, no ways. Anger, oh, why can't they just have the valedictory at school now, stupid corona? Bargaining, okay, but what if we sit 2 meters apart and we all wear masks? And can we have it outside? Depression, oh, this really does suck, doesn't it? And acceptance. So, this is it. This is how it's going to be. So let's make the most of this momentous occasion. I know this wasn't the year it was supposed to be. This was the year that you were going to win that rugby trophy and have your best season ever. This was the year you were going to go on cycle tour. This was the year you were going to play the lead in the school play. You were going to go to the Matric dance. This was supposed to be your Matric year that you'd been working 12 years to revel in. Instead, it's been a confusing time of not being allowed to eat roast chicken or buy crop pants, running laps of your garden, family meetings with the president and trying to navigate Microsoft Teams and Zoom and Skype and pushing that mute button repeatedly. Can you hear me? I'm on mute. How many times have you heard that this year? I'm sorry, it's not fair. But don't despair. So firstly, let's get some perspective here. According to UNICEF, at least 31% of school children worldwide were not reached by digital and broadcast remote learning programs when schools closed due to the virus. The worst hit area, Southern Africa. UNICEF says millions of these children are likely to be left behind. Half of all children in the region didn't get the online or virtual learning that you received. Many of these will never even return to school again. The pandemic has deepened the divide between the haves and the have-nots. On the contrary, you've had the privilege of learning an entire new skill set over the past 6 months that will prove to be invaluable to you in your future. In years to come, employers will look at your CVs and single out the class of 2020 because you've survived this period through resilience and creativity. All of those TikTok videos will pay off, you'll see. It may be difficult to fully comprehend what an incredible gift you have been given. You've had first-hand exposure to a changing world. You've mastered the art of virtual collaboration, while those already in the workforce are still grappling with that mute button or how to position themselves on a virtual screen. You're way ahead when it comes to online learning, and now that there's been a fundamental shift to working, buying, and living online, this will be to your advantage. You've learned to adapt to new technology and new ways of doing things. Again, this will be invaluable when you look at how businesses and entrepreneurs have had to pivot in this pandemic, reinventing themselves in a time of crisis. The pace of change will continue to increase, and those of you who are willing and open to change will thrive. You and your generation are uniquely placed to take advantage and leverage this changing world. You'll look back at this experience with humor and amusement and appreciation, even though right now it might not feel like it. This is your time to shine. You'll find many people trying to dish out advice to you, wanting to help you along on your road to adulthood. In a way, everything that's happened to you up until now has been predetermined. Your parents have made most of the big decisions for you. What school you should go to, perhaps what you would study, perhaps even when you would study, or if you would study. Soon, it will all be up to you. You get to decide what to do next, how to do it, and more importantly, what's actually worth doing. It's enormously exciting, but it's also hugely scary. But it's really the start of your life. From now on, all of your successes and all of your failures are yours to bear. There are many, many people who fear the future. I want to tell you that the world that you are going to live in is going to move faster, change quicker, and be more interesting than the one that you grew up in. It's a new world that requires a new way. Some of you will be thinking of leaving, of going to study somewhere else, to look for bigger and better opportunities. It's right that you do that. You must try and be all you can be. You must strive to be the best. It's correct that you do consider pursuing these possibilities. Go and study overseas, live in a different place, learn about other societies, see the world. Don't be afraid to open yourself to new experiences and to take risks. As Dr. Seuss says, with your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street, and you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. And once you've done all of that and breathed in the wide open air, I urge you to come back home. South Africa is a place where you can live a challenging and fulfilling life, and it needs you. Armed with an excellent education and hopefully a burning desire to see your country succeed, you can play a leading role in ensuring we never return to darker days. You might feel despondent about where this country is right now and your prospects of success here. The future may look bleak. But remember, the whole world is a bit of a mess right now. Every country's got its own unique problems. I urge you to be active citizens. Most of you are now old enough to vote. Please, you must cast your ballots and have a say in the trajectory of this nation and who leads it. We have one of the best constitutions in the world, and you must always act to protect our democracy. The strength of our active civil society in this country is one of our greatest assets. And this is part of our DNA as Jews. This is the concept of tikkun olam, performing acts of kindness to repair the world. The phrase tikkun olam is found in the Mishnah dating back to the 3rd century, but it's something that's ingrained in all of us. It's synonymous with the notion of social action and the pursuit of social justice. Now, more than ever, we need to ensure that through tzedakah and through chesed, charity and acts of kindness, we work to repair our broken world. And truthfully, I don't need to tell you this. The social justice activism of Gen Z is its best trait. From Greta Thunberg's school strikes for climate change to Darnella Fraser, the 17-year-old who filmed the death of George Floyd, to Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai, your generation has a strong and fearless social justice barometer. As trends forecaster Dion Chang describes, you use your devices as digital weapons to galvanize your peers and communities to push for change. He says that the COVID-19 pandemic will add to your world perspective and be a defining life event for you, much in the same way that 9/11 and the global financial crisis shaped the millennial generation. It will reaffirm your convictions around climate change and social inequality. You will be stepping into a world just as it's falling apart. Post-COVID, there will not be a return to the old world. You will be the explorers and adventurers of a brand new world. You'll also be perfectly positioned to speak out against the boomers who made a hash of it all in the first place and hold our leaders to account. You'll be ready to speak truth to power. For the past year and a half, I've been working on a book about whistleblowers, which, as fate would have it, is launched today. I've sat down with brave and courageous individuals who've risked their own lives and the fate of their families to act in the interests of justice and patriotism. And I spent a lot of time listening to these people tell me about the cost and the sacrifice. But more than anything, I've really been inspired by their stories. From state capture to the abuse of government funds to deeply rooted corruption and corporate malfeasance, they've exposed it all. But they've been treated like pariahs and pushed to the fringes of society. And I've spent many hours thinking about what makes some individuals principled and virtuous enough to speak up while others choose to play it safe and keep quiet and look the other way. Each of you have something within you that you were taught by your parents, your school, your community, or your religion that will guide you to make the right decision. Think before you speak up. Plan carefully, but you must not stay silent. This is especially true when we see others of a different race or culture or gender or faith being persecuted or abused. Discrimination and racism of any kind should never be acceptable, and you shouldn't bear silent witness to this. Stand up and say something. You will be respected for it. Go out into the world with your eyes wide open, knowing that there are many grim things about our society, some of which may deeply affect you. One would think that as a journalist, I would be pessimistic about the state of the country. Yes, there are many issues that irk and frustrate me, but in fact, the situation is quite the opposite. You see, we're also fortunate enough to witness the very best that South Africa has to offer. For every one bad news story that we report on, there are at least 10 good news stories that happen all around us. Stories of generosity, of spirit, of kindness, of patriotism, and of pride in this great nation. And this is a country that needs your brains, and there is a desperate need for people who are the best. All of you here have had an excellent education. You know very well that you're the lucky ones, but it's up to you to pursue excellence wherever you go. In a few years' time, some of you may become doctors at the Charlotte Matric Johannesburg Academic Hospital, and you must ensure that the care that you offer your patients is the best that they will receive at any hospital in town. If you become a teacher, make sure that every lesson you deliver, be it in Tembisa or Alex or Sandton or Bedford View, it's the best you could offer those learners. And yes, if you become a poorly paid journalist, you must be as accurate, independent, and objective as humanly possible. Many of you here today may become entrepreneurs. May you become rich and successful. But whatever you do, please don't forget to give back. Help others to uplift themselves. Yes, making money is great, but don't allow that to dictate your futures. It's worth remembering that it's not the material things that matter most. It's not what you buy, where you live, or how we spend. What really matters most are the types of human beings we are, the fabric of our souls, and how we stay true to that. Never forget the importance of tikkun olam in your futures, of acts of kindness to play your part in repairing the world. Don't look back on these past 6 months in despair or wallow in the grief of your loss. See it as a great and unique advantage and grab the opportunity. You are so lucky to have been through this experience. But as you will learn in life, you make your own luck. This is a watershed moment in your lives. It's for you to choose how you want to proceed. Choose well, strive for excellence no matter what you do, and make your school proud. Thank you.